Excel turns 40 this month. Happy birthday, Excel. But its greatest feature, the Excel equivalent of wishing for more wishes, is less than 5 years old, and that is the ability to write your own complex functions using let and lambda. Let's take a look at an example. Suppose you have a sales target of 100,000 and a commission rate of 5% for anything above that, and you sold 175,000. First, you want to figure out how much you're above the target, and then you want to multiply that by the rate to get your commission. That's a very simple two-step calculation, but you can use this exact recipe for much bigger and more complex functions once you get the idea. So first, we're going to write lambda. Lambda is the function that writes functions, and the three inputs to this function are going to be b2, b3, and b4, and we need to tell lambda what they're called. So we're going to say b2 is the target, b3 is the percentage, b4 is what's sold. Now we have a multi-step calculation inside, so we're going to use let, which allows you to define a series of variables. The first variable is how much we're above the target, and if you just wrote that formula in a cell, it would be max of b4 minus b2 and 0. But here we want to use the names because then we'll be able to, this will change when these inputs change. So we're going to say max of sold minus target and 0. And that also is going to make your formulas a lot more human readable, easy to kind of check and understand as you start to write more complex formulas. Then we're going to calculate the commission amount, which is how much you're above the threshold times the percentage. And note that you can refer to the previous variable calculations in a step here. And then once you've defined all your variables and all your calculations in let, the last thing you tell it is what you want to give back, which here is the commission amount, but you might want to return an earlier step if you're debugging or setting it up. And if you enter that formula in a cell, you'll get the same 3,750. But this hasn't really made your life easier yet. This is more complex than this was. Now we're going to save it as a function. So we're going to go to the ribbon, go to Formulas, Name Manager, New, get this little pop-up. We're going to copy the function, not the arguments at the end, but just the function, into this refers to box, and then give it a name, commission. And now, instead of writing all of this mess in a cell, we can just use commission like a native Excel function, commission of B2, B3, B4. And then if you need to calculate the commission for 10 or 1,000 employees, you don't need any helper cells, you don't need any schedules, you just write one formula and copy it down. And that is why let and lambda are the greatest Excel functions of them all.